You once said to me that heartbreak doesn't just happen all at once. An unsent journal entry. You once said to me that heartbreak doesn't just happen all at once. That it happens when you relive the memories, when someone mentions their name, when you get a faint smell that reminds you of them, or when you want to send them something that would make them laugh. That heartbreak is something you go through again and again until you can view and relive the memories as bittersweet rather than repress them. That it's never about forgetting them, but creating a life in their absence. It's about finding happiness again, even with the weight of what was lost. And it's about accepting that someone permanently shifted the course of your life and heart forever, but still choosing to continue. It's remembering what you were once a part of with fondness, but coming to the rational conclusion that you could never go back, and that you wouldn't, even if you could. Because that's the thing about heartbreak, right? It's not that the loss is hurtful, but it's that each time we remember, we are given one final opportunity to love. To smile when you relive the memories, to exhale with peace at the mention of their name, or chuckle in surprise when a scent reminds you of them, to laugh at those things that you know they would enjoy. Because that's what letting go is. It's your final opportunity to love. It's the final greatest act of love you could ever perform, and the last act of love you will ever do for them. This journal entry was me reflecting on the conversations we had before. One of the highlights of our connection was how we discussed deep topics like love and heartbreak. She would always say that heartbreak is something that happens again and again, but only by accepting it, you can move forward. This was one of my favorite lessons from her. The idea is that we are constantly provided with opportunities to love and let go during heartbreak, but many of us just ignore these opportunities. It really is the last thing we get to do with them, because once we let go of something, it's gone. I think her teaching me this lesson was invaluable. It's one of the reasons why I even wrote this book to begin with. To me, taking the final opportunity to love was the only option I had. All of me wanted to hold on, yet none of me knew that I could. When you run into those small moments that remind you of them, that make you smile or maybe even stink a little, rejoice. It's your heart remembering how great that love once was. Allow yourself to cherish these moments, because one day they will be gone too. Accepting this transience was the crucial lesson I had to learn during my time with her. Ironically, when it felt like I couldn't move forward, it was the lessons with her that really reminded me that I could. That despite the weight of everything and the undeniable truth that my heart had been changed, I could find a way to move forward. There is no such thing as you took me for granted. Only we took each other for granted, because it's a team effort. When you fall short in a relay, blaming your partner doesn't really feel good. In fact, you only create more space between the two of you, hindering your progress. If you treat your relationships in this way, and in turn your breakups, you will always feel like you are either not good enough for your partner or that your partner is not good enough for you. Blaming another person for their fault doesn't actually make us feel better. It only isolates us more. When you recognize that perhaps as a team you fell short, you just no longer want to be their teammate anymore. It's not personal. This is how you move on. Because you realize you aren't with your partner anyway. if you want to be able to win as a team, you have to be able to lose as a team as well. It's not unheard of for people to seek partners who love them more or put them on a pedestal after heartbreak. And while there's nothing inherently wrong with this, the question to ask is whether that is something you seek to create or not. Do you want a partner you will never love but only be loved by? If this is for you, that's valid. Many will heavily disagree with me, saying that their significant person took them for granted and that they deserve better. There is no wrong here, and that perspective is valid as well. What if my partner was abusive? What if there is nuance here. The reason why I say we took each other for granted, even if it was just one person, is because my perspective functions from a teamwork paradigm. To me, their actions are irrelevant because we functioned as a team. Their mistakes are mine too. In a world where individualism, you versus me, and the zero-sum mentality are often center stage, shifting the focus to we instead of me feels liberating and revolutionary. Shifting from the winning and losing mindset is humbling, because if you are the one winning in a relationship, your relationship is the one that's doing the losing. It's important that you realize that some relationships are supposed to lose so that you can end up in the right one. To me, love, relationships, and heartbreak are not solo endeavors. In the context of a relationship, when a challenge arises, it's less a matter of one person taking the other for granted, but rather it's an opportunity for everyone involved to come together and communicate as a unit. A heartbreak is the very same. It's an opportunity to say goodbye with grace, communicate with yourself, and move apart together. The outcome of a relationship, to me, is a collective responsibility. If I'm going to celebrate the highs with you, I will weather our lows together too. Growth is a shared journey for all of us, regardless of whether we do it together or do it apart. Everyone is trying to be happier. To me, this form of collaboration and teamwork is what it means to love as a human being. It is beyond a relationship or a heartbreak, but the very essence of our nature. Your ex probably isn't as bad of a person as you think they are, and you aren't either. This is a blanket statement and may not apply to everyone. As a reader, please use your own discernment/nuance to decide whether this applies to you. Breakups tend to highlight the worst parts of people, and if you're honest with yourself, it brings out the worst in yourself as well. Yet, we often judge people for this fraction of time. In psychology, the self-serving bias is when we attribute positive events and successes to our own character, but blame negative results on external factors unrelated to our character. This bias is flipped around when applying it to others. If someone acts crazy because of an X reason, they are just crazy. If we act crazy because of X reason, it's because of X reason. This is a very simplified model, but the reason to point it out is that we only have our own perspective. We perceive all of our reality through our own very biased lens, and we can't really be sure that's all there is to the story. It's important to remind yourself of this fact because you don't actually know the full extent of your significant person's traumas. If they are acting out in a hurtful way, it's merely a reflection of the pain that they themselves have experienced, not your value as a person. Another person's hurtful actions are a testament to the degree to which they have healed and less to do with you. Context breeds compassion. Remind yourself that they are probably acting this way because of the way they have been hurt in the past. Most people only act the way they do in breakups because the relationship made them feel safe enough to be vulnerable in the first place. Maybe they aren't that bad of a person. Obviously, this does not justify any hurtful or abusive actions, but just puts them into context. By putting their actions into context, it allows you to let it go more easily. This is their first time living as well. They are figuring it out too. Understanding that they are probably just figuring it out, trying to be human and trying to avoid as much pain as possible, allows you to stop taking any hurtful words or actions personally. If a child throws a tantrum, it has nothing to do with the parent most of the time and more to do with the child. Take a child who tells their mom that they hate them for not buying them ice cream. The parent should be able to recognize that they are just hurt, not getting ice cream, and throwing a tantrum. When you realize this is almost all the pain in the world, you can recognize it's never personal and has more to do with the other person than it has to do with yourself. This is how you liberate yourself. The nuance here is that contextualizing someone's hurtful actions is not saying it's okay. You're not justifying them or taking responsibility for them, but rather choosing to be above it. Once you can contextualize their actions from a neutral place, you will recognize you don't want to be associated with those actions to begin with. There are two ways you can endure a lot of pain. The first one, you believe on some deep level you deserve it, and secondly, you are fighting for something greater than yourself and are committed to something beyond yourself. If number one resonates with you, perhaps it's time to heal and tend to your wound. Maybe your strength is also a trauma response. Not to take away from all that you've endured, because most people would have given up if they went through what you did. But perhaps it's time to put the sword down and start healing. Learn the difference between fighting for yourself and fighting yourself. Part of the reason why a lot of people are stuck in a cycle of pain is because they find themselves trapped in some form of self-punishment. Whether it's choosing people they know are unavailable or going for things they know in their heart aren't right, there is a part of themselves that thinks they deserve the situation they find themselves in. You cannot escape pain, but you shouldn't be in prolonged suffering either. You need to take an honest audit of yourself and your belief systems. What do you think about the idea of enduring a lot of pain? Maybe you may believe it's noble or a confirmation of your personal strength. There is some belief that is hiding your need for it. If you keep getting hurt, you need to ask yourself, honestly, what you're really getting out of it. Enduring pain for no reason other than to prove you can is not noble or strong. It's egotistical and pointless. Sometimes healing means letting go of the pride you have around the pain you carry. How to get closure. Why do we hold on? A lot of people say, if I could just get an answer from them about, or if I could just tell them that. Essentially, putting the energy of closure on their ex-significant person. We do this because when a connection ends, we'll find any reason to stay connected to them, even if that connection is pain. By putting the energy of closure on the other person, it gives us permission to hold on. There's nothing wrong with this, as we all do it, but it's important to recognize that we are doing it in order to move on, eventually. The hard but liberating truth is that closure is found within, not externally. There will always be words left unsaid, thoughts unexpressed or misunderstood. Part of healing is allowing silence to speak the words that need to be said. If you are being honest, you could keep talking to your significant person forever and will never find closure if you choose not to. This is how patterns begin. Because if you are in a relationship with someone you love, you don't just finish talking to them. The same is true with a significant person. You will not be finished in talking to them unless you decide it is a decision you choose to move forward with. On some level, we hope that if we get the right explanation or proper apology, our pain will miraculously dissipate when we know that oftentimes it isn't true. The peace we find is in our acceptance that we can't control another person's actions or emotions, but we can control our reactions to them. Maybe not instantaneously. There is nuance here. So how do we actually find closure within ourselves? Finding closure is about completing an emotional process within ourselves. To some extent, the person that we loved gave us permission for something. They provided us with an opportunity to receive and give love to a part of ourselves we may have otherwise neglected in the past. Love those parts of yourself that you labeled as unlovable. On some level, they were giving you something that you weren't giving yourself. Spend time with your shame, your guilt, your pain, and accept those parts of yourself you hid away to be more lovable or to be enough. You have always been enough, and you have always been lovable. You just forgot somewhere along the way. Let go of your expectations of who you should be and just be who you are. Meet all parts of yourself and reclaim them. Declare that you are reclaiming those parts of yourself and own it. We all want unconditional love, but how many of us actually give that to ourselves? If you discard parts of yourself, you will always seek those missing parts of yourself in others, when you were the one who discarded those parts to begin with. It's not that they completed you, they just helped you rediscover parts of yourself you had previously discarded. This isn't meant to shift any blame or point any fingers, but to recognize that it is in our own personal power to love ourselves again. What did they give you permission to feel? This is what you need most from yourself. It's important to note that this is not the only reason we hold on. Sometimes it's out of fear. We hold on because of the unknown. The more peace you create within yourself by accepting that you cannot control them, the more you allow space for them to be, and in turn, yourself as well. Finding closure means coming to terms with this fear. A fear that we can't actually control anyone, own anyone, or fully know anyone. Again, there is a lot of nuance here. This unknown is the driving force behind many fears, and in the context of love and heartbreak, it's an obstacle we need to face to become who we are meant to be on our most authentic level. It's not about forgetting what was done to us, what happened, but about making peace with it so that we can move forward. The terrifying thing is that heartbreak can happen again. Betrayal can happen again. We have to overcome this fear if we want to move forward. It's funny. A poem. It's funny because you taught me how to love myself so well that even when you couldn't accept me, I couldn't stop loving myself.